Hello, I'm Dr. Ryan Johnson,
And I'm Professor Lorinda Klein.
and I'm the professor of mathematics here at Grace.
And I am a professor in the School of Education and the secondary chair.
And we want to make this video for students who are thinking about majoring in math education. And what we want to do is talk about how you might know if math education is right for you, and how you might find your calling and vocation in math education, and how to succeed in math education. So let's first start off at the top. So how do we know if math education is right for you?
How did you know?
I loved helping my fellow students with math. I think that's how I knew. You get excited about that look in their eye when they finally get it. That's something that is kind of an indicator for me if math education is right for you.
Right. I'm trying to think, narrow it down. Lots of reasons. I love teaching.
Mhm.
I knew my dad was a teacher who actually didn't want me to teach, but he was too good of a role model. So math was one of the subjects he taught. And then trying to decide what to teach was even harder because I just love to learn.
Mhm.
But math just offered a different insight into helping people. I think a lot of people struggle with math, and I found a lot of joy in helping students find the beauty and some fun in math and success.
It is really something when you take something that's hard for somebody and then you make it fun, make it interesting. Especially if they can see like how it's used, how it's important. So how can a student find their sense of vocation or calling in math education?
Right. So I think it goes along with what we've already talked about. First of all, I think any teaching is part of a mission field, and you teach who you are.
Yeah.
And that's why character is such a big part of Grace College and also the School of Ed, because teachers make a lot of decisions every day that are unplanned, and all of those go through your character and how you see your students, who you believe they are, and trying to be the hands and feet of God in public or private schools, and how you relate with them. And then, Ryan, I also see it back to that math is, at least in the United States, kind of a place where a lot of people say, I'm not good at that. And then we can come along and say, yet.
Yeah.
Right? So we can help them with that growth mindset of maybe it might be different if you allow yourself to believe, and I believe in you. So
yeah, it's really something when you can help somebody reach a point that gets better than they thought they could even get, and really get past some of those mental roadblocks they might have.
Some of those obstacles, which can be family, like even at parent-teacher conferences, you hear, well, I'm not good at math, so it's been handed down, and trying to help reverse that.
Break that cycle.
Right.
Yeah, there's just such a need for good math teachers. There's always a shortage of good math teachers.
And people who love a subject and can breathe life into it, and have joy in a middle school or high school student's day and relationship, mentoring where they may not expect it. I think is a fun challenge.
For sure. I think there's opportunities for meeting with students after school and kind of having even more than just a teacher relationship with students sometimes. And that can be a real joy as well.
And I see this in our grads, our alumni. And so our practicing recent teachers are out there shining, and we're just so pleased at how their character shines through, and their joy for problem solving, and the beauty of mathematics, and how infectious that is to their students when they are truly loving what they do.
Yeah, part of breaking the cycle sometimes of families that just continue to say, oh, I'm not good at math, I don't want to try hard, is kind of like letting students see somebody up front who really enjoys it. who finds enjoyment in it, and that like be kind of sharing that joy. And you can't force somebody else to have joy, but you can have joy in front of them. And that's part of the way, sometimes part of the way there.
Yeah, that goes along with, I think there really is a calling to walking alongside people through challenge, right?
Yeah,
And so
definitely.
knowing that so many students have some negative thoughts about math and might have baggage that they bring to your classroom,
Yeah.
there's just a joy of being able to be part of the change.
For sure. So what can somebody majoring in math education, how can they try to succeed? Like what are the things they need to do to try to succeed?
So I'd say growing all those areas of growing your character, but also growing your competence and growing your curiosity in math and just seeing its application and relevance in understanding God's design and what an awesome just insight that is to be able to look at patterns in nature and just think there's something bigger. So really exploring your own curiosity as to all the nuances and applications of math so that you can bring that into your classroom and students see this is more than solving a word problem. This is, there's relevance here.
Yeah, I think curiosity is right. Curiosity is really important because in math education, you're going to be asked to take math classes that go deeper than the courses you're going to teach yourself. And some of the students I see that don't succeed really push against that. And the students who are curious and want to learn more are the ones that tend to succeed, that really are able to kind of grasp how this deeper thing that's really hard sometimes. And I don't always see exactly how it relates to how I'm going to teach right away, but like throughout the course, they start to get an idea of like, oh, there's this deeper way of thinking about things, and I can use this to kind of be able to relate, like change up in the classroom, and when you have that deeper sense, you can more easily kind of wing it in different situations.
Yeah, you come up with metaphors and analogies better, which I also think Grace College's liberal arts background is helps our students come up with connections. And I would encourage any math ed major to think about selecting electives if they can that would broaden that. For example, I had a minor in physics and it really helped me bring math alive and kind of math lab setting or connections outside. So the more you can take some math related classes, which some are in our core, as you know really well, but broaden that, you can bring in those connections and then instill it in your teaching with helping your students be curious about math from the very beginning with anticipatory sets, which we use.
I think it's really important that we think about how teaching, it's so important to be student-centered. And so when you think about your own success, you're going to succeed better if you can think about your education as preparing yourself for those students. And so like you said, things like physics, but there's also things like history and literature, because there's history of math that can also make math come alive.
And music.
And music.
And art.
Man, music and math are so connected. And sometimes you don't see that, but there are connections to be made if you look for them.
Yes, and coming alongside your student-centered point, I think that's our students at Grace tend to be just so purposeful because they are here for more than the grade in the course. They understand they're going to be out there and have their own classes to lead. And so really trying to look for relevance and application that they can add to their teaching game. Other ways to be successful, I would say, is to get in front of students as often as possible, which we do at Grace through field placements, but there's also lots of opportunities to serve both at Grace College and over the summer to think about really purposeful experience that you can have.
Yeah, that relates to both calling and how to succeed is having a servant's heart. Because being a good math teacher is having a servant's heart for your students and building that even while you're still a student, and how you serve in different opportunities at Grace. The students who are looking for opportunities to serve are the ones who are really getting excited for teaching and really setting themselves up for success.
And teaching is a vocation, a calling that you are never going to arrive. It is which is one of the reasons I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's a continuous challenge that you're much like our Christian walk in trying to come closer and closer to being able to serve better and better. So there's continuous challenge, but how do you equip yourself from the beginning? One of the best ways is to really think about who you believe your students are and your purpose in front of them. And if you can keep that front and center, like if you see students as miracles and students as image bearers, then your energy and your purpose for being in that classroom is going to be a lot different and more fortified by a higher source.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Melinda, for having this conversation with me.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Thank you for asking.
I hope this was helpful for you.